Alright, we are back. Kareem and Dean are back. And yeah, let's get right into the main portion of the show. Starting with the big NBA trade, as we all know, James Harden, the superstar for the Rockets, was traded to the Brooklyn Nets. Now joining that team with Kyrie Irving, who is been in a little bit of a situation recently, and Kevin Durant, putting them as possible favorites for the NBA title. So this was a very complicated deal with 4 teams involved. So I'm gonna give this to Kareem and Dean to, explain what all happened and give their thoughts on the trade.
Alright, so to explain this trade, I'll just give you guys a quick rundown of what every team got. So the Nets acquired James Harden and a 2024 second round pick that was given to them by the Cavaliers. The Rockets got Victor Oladipo from the Pacers, obviously, because this was a 4-team mega deal. They got Dante Exum from the Cavs and Rodion Krooks from the Nets. The picks to the Rockets. The Rockets got They have 3 unprotected first-round draft picks from Brooklyn. Basically, what that means is if it was maybe a lottery protected, that means if they ended up getting a pick in the lottery, the Rockets would have got that pick back if it was top 3. If they ended up getting a top 3, they would have got the pick back. So they got 3 unprotected first-round draft picks, a 2022, 2024, and 2026 for those. Pick swaps in 2021, 2023, 2025, and 2027. And they also got a 2022 first-round pick from Cleveland that they had from Milwaukee. The Pacers got the Nets' Karis LeVert. He was originally traded from the Nets to the Rockets, and the Rockets traded him to the Pacers. And the Pacers also received a 2023 second-round pick from the Rockets, and the Cavaliers got Jarrett Allen and Taurean Prince. Now, I think the Rockets obviously get the most draft capital out of this, so they have obviously. I think this fits them best for the long run. But Karis LeVert is I think he's very good. Jarrett Allen, up and coming center who loves to block shots. So I personally think that the Rockets won this because they didn't get a superstar, but they got a star. Some people would say Victor Oladipo, and they got Krooks, a really good shooter, and Dante Exum. So I'm gonna ask Dean, who does he think's run this trade? Because I think it was the Rockets. You know what? I'm just going to keep it short and simple. I think it's the Rockets. They did get a star, like Kareem said, and Victor Oladipo, who is also a pretty underrated three-point shooter. So I think I'm just going to give this one back to Andrew.
Yeah, Victor Oladipo, he used to be, very good, top 20-ish player, I would say. Before the injury that he had, I believe last season, he's kind of fallen off, but from the looks of it, I have him on one of my fantasy basketball teams, and I'm in a league with a couple of my friends. He's been playing pretty well, so Rockets get him along with a bunch of picks from the Nets. So I definitely think the Rockets won this trade by far. They get a toxic guy out of their team, out of the organization. They no longer have to deal with James Harden anymore. Obviously, the whole reports were like James Harden doesn't want to play for the Rockets or anything like that. So anyway, yeah, they get him out. They bring in Victor Oladipo. They bring in a bunch of picks, which is just amazing for them. So anyway, by far, the Rockets won this trade, in my opinion. So, yeah, so that is really going to do it for the only NBA news. Yeah, very quiet. Maybe if you want us to, maybe Kareem and Dean can start, giving us who's hot and who's not, fantasy basketball possible pickups, injuries, and Jason Tatum has been injured. Some big guys like that have been injured, at least I know. So anyway, let's go right into the Super Wild Card matchups. Another one, I'm just gonna throw this right back at you. Browns and Steelers. 47 to 38, huh? Or was it 48 to 37? I don't know what the score was. Anyway, Browns won by more than 10 at least. So yeah, I'm gonna give this to you guys to, break down the game and, do it off the stats and all that. So, saying that you're Browns fans, I think it's fitting, but you do got a game against the Chiefs. But anyway, we'll get into that a little bit later. So, yeah, why don't you go ahead and break down the game?
All right, so a great game for me. A terrible, terrible, horrific game for Steelers fans. Obviously, I am in a very happy mood, but we're playing the Chiefs, so that might go down real fast. But we're talking about what happened on Super Wild Card Weekend, Sunday night finale, Browns Steelers. So we'll start off with the stats for the Browns. Baker Mayfield, quarterback, who's really blossomed into a true franchise quarterback over the past couple of weeks, really through the second half of the season after the bye. He was 21 for 34, 263 yards total, 3 touchdowns. Nick Chubb, obviously part of that two-headed monster with Kareem Hunt, had 18 rushes, 76 yards, and 4 receptions for 69 yards and a touchdown. Kareem Hunt, 4 rushes for 48 yards and 2 touchdowns, plus a reception for 13 yards. Jarvis Landry had a quite good game with 5 receptions for 92 yards and a touchdown. Austin Hooper, 7 receptions, 46 yards and a touchdown. And really, what was the core of this win? The defense, 4 big time interceptions, and obviously that first play of the game that was returned for a touchdown. So, obviously, as I just mentioned, I think the turning point in this game, which doesn't happen often. First play of the game, Marquise Pouncey takes a step left, throws off his timing, snaps it over a 6'5" Big Ben, and the Steelers didn't want to dive on it. I guess I don't know how James Conner overran it, but he did, and he didn't get it. Myles Garrett kind of hit it into the end zone, and it was recovered by Carl Joseph for 6 to start off that game in the first, so we'll say 14 seconds. Steelers had no defense whatsoever, which is definitely not a normal sight for them. No QB hits or hurries. Obviously, it's the Browns with they've got but they're looking to get everyone back this week, including Joe Bitonio and Jack Conklin, who's coming off of a small injury, a hamstring injury that game. But obviously, they had the Hunt guy, I forgot his first name, who is subbing in on that left side of the line, and then he got hurt. And Blake Hance came in, and his first play, he was face to face with Cam Hayward, obviously Pro Bowl defensive tackle for the Steelers, and well, he handled him. Only, I mean, it was kind of surprising beat this offensive line that the Browns had, but nonetheless, the Browns did what they needed to do to clean up this game. So for the Pittsburgh Steelers, Big Ben had a record, I'm pretty sure, 68 pass attempts, 4 touchdowns, 4 receptions, 501
No, no,
yards.
no. It was he was one short of the record. The record is 69.
One short.
Yeah.
Sure, okay.
Man.
Ground game, absolutely
Non-existent.
nothing
Non-existent.
whatsoever. James Conner, Benny Snell, nothing really. And it's not like anyone was expecting anything from the run game, obviously, because the Browns have one of the better rushing defenses in the league. Juju Smith-Schuster and Deontay Johnson actually had themselves pretty good games, 24 catches, 274 yards, and a touchdown. So pretty much more than half of the Big Ben's yards went to those guys, if my quick math is correct, which I'm pretty sure it's not. It should be. I don't know. Probably not.
Yeah,
And one touchdown
I think
defense,
it
no
is. I think
sacks
it
or
is.
turnovers. And Juju quote, obviously, after the Browns won, this is what everyone wants to talk about. Nameless gray faces. Browns is the Browns. Steelers aren't the Steelers. I mean, it was a very, very weird game. Was far from expectations going into this one for both sides, but I guess only the Steelers, because the Browns believed in themselves the whole time. They had the confidence, and they showed that they are the same old Browns. Not the Browns from the past 18 years, but the Browns before then, where they obviously pound the rock and run the ball, stop the run. That's pretty much the formula for the Steelers, what it's been ever since Mike Tomlin got there. But for the past 3 years, that's not how it's gone down. So Browns are taking that Steelers style of play away from them, and they're implementing it into their own offense and defense. So Browns take this game 48-37. I'm going to pass this one on to Dean and see what he thinks about it. Yeah, it was really technically a historic win. They've only practiced once over the past 2 weeks and lost 17 straight games. in Heinz Field, and to really drill them in a playoff game like that, I think it's really a big confidence booster to the Cleveland organization, and really just showing that the Browns aren't the same old Browns. So now when you look at what they were missing their best tackle, the guy that's been through it all, Joe Bitonio. He caught COVID. Just unlucky for him. Kevin Stefanski, the head coach, the mastermind behind everything, he caught COVID. And Denzel Ward, he's had an injury, so he was out this game. Questionable, but he was out. And on the Steelers side, they weren't missing too many players, but you guys missed that Ben Roethlisberger did set a record for most pass completions
Yeah, that's what
in
it
a game.
was.
I believe it was 47 completions with 4 touchdowns, but very bad and high for interceptions. So Mike Prefer obviously did what he had to do in Heinz Field, taking it to arguably one of the best defenses in the league with when you're talking about guys with T.J. Watt and Cameron Hayward,
Minkah
two
Fitzpatrick at
great
safety.
players. Minkah Fitzpatrick. Joe Hayden obviously out for that game with concussion, I believe.
Yeah, something like that.
But as you see, like the Browns were missing so many offensive linemen.
Yeah, and the fact that they didn't even get any pressure.
Yeah, they didn't give up sack. They did amazing against T.J. Watt.
Yeah.
And specifically Cameron Hayward, actually.
Yeah. Showing why T.J. Watt shouldn't be Defensive Player of the Year, and that should go to Xavier Howard. Yo, what is the chances they give it to cornerback back-to-back years, though?
I don't know.
It's very unlikely.
Xavier Howard, very unlikely. Trying to keep on track with this game.
Oh, yeah.
I know the score doesn't do it justice, but the Browns absolutely drilled the Steelers. Even though it's just by 11 points, Ben got those yards in garbage time. He got those completions in
garbage time was the entire fourth quarter.
The entire fourth quarter was garbage. The game was over, and everyone was making jokes about Atlanta. The Atlanta versus Patriots Super Bowl game where they choked the 28-3 lead with 2 minutes left in the third quarter. But Nick Chubb said, nope, everybody stop. And then he scores a screen, and that obviously was the game-sealing play. It was around a 40-yard completion from a screen, and just a great running back, one of the best in the league right now, and obviously coming up in big moments like that. So I'm gonna give it back to Andrew.
Yeah, definitely. Like you said, Kareem, not often is the turning point the first play of the game, but it actually was this game. You could just tell the Steelers were not in it. They did not want to, it just looked like they didn't want to be there. Obviously they did, but yeah, I think you guys summed it up perfectly. Whatever I say is just going to be a repeat of what you say. So anyway, let's go on to the next game with the Bears and the Saints in New Orleans on Nickelodeon. Now, I must say, the Nickelodeon broadcast was much better than I thought it was going to be, but it still had its cringeworthy moments, like comparing Alvin Kamara's 21 touchdowns this year to Alvin and the Chipmunks' 21 records or something like that. It's like, who needs that? Who needs that? So anyway, it was cool at times. The slime cannon for the touchdowns were cool.
But then there was the whole Cordero thing.
Oh yeah. They got the ref wrong. They got the number call on a penalty, and he was like, "Bro, what the?" And so anyway, but yeah, I think it's a cool concept, but it can be improved and tweaked on like everything can. So yeah, let's get into the stats of this game. Drew Brees had a good game. However, the pass attempts were a little bit high for a guy, coming off a big injury. Granted, it was like 5 weeks ago, but still, you don't want to see Drew Brees throwing the ball 40 times when you have a guy like Alvin Kamara, in the backfield, who had a good game himself, just under 100 yards and a touchdown. Deontay Harris had himself a career game, 7 receptions for 83 yards. Meanwhile, the Bears just could not get anything going on offense, and that's been the story this whole year, is that if you can find something that works against their defense, you're set. You're gonna be able to win the game. The score should have been 21-3, but Jimmy Graham just decided he wanted to make that last play interesting for the Nickelodeon fans and all that. Just snagged the ball one-handed, brought it into his body for the touchdown, and right as soon as he caught it, he was like, I'm heading to the locker room. So yeah, the stats in this game, pretty good for the Saints, pretty bad for the Bears. Trubisky, just under 200 yards and a touchdown. Montgomery, which is a guy who rushed over 1,000 yards, only had 12 carries, and it's not like he was hurt or anything. No, he played the entire game. They just, for this Bears, it was just over and over, like, drives that lasted, like, 5 plays each, and they just could not move on offense like they have all the year. And, I mean, maybe getting a new quarterback will help, because if you look at that team is very talented at every other position on offense except quarterback. Mitchell Trubisky is that one glaring problem with that team. You could say, yeah, they could use a solid, like, number two wide receiver to go with Allen Robinson. Darnell Mooney was good, but I think he's a good slot guy for the Bears. And maybe I believe T.Y. Hilton is a free agent this year, so maybe they re-sign Robinson, they get T.Y. Hilton, they trade for a quarterback, or maybe even draft one. Maybe they can get, like, Ian Book that late in the draft. But anyway, to be that franchise guy, because obviously Mitchell Trubisky is just not it. But yeah, Saints win this one, 21-9. They were 2 touchdowns. It could have easily been 35-9, but the Drew Brees 1-yard QB sneak, that should have been a touchdown, but there was one angle that they were like, yeah, no, he wasn't across, so let's not give it to him. Then there was also a David Montgomery fumble, that wasn't a fumble, but was a fumble that they returned for a touchdown. So it could have easily been a lot more not close than it actually was. It doesn't matter. The Saints come out on top with the win. But yeah, speaking of fumbles non-fumbles that should have been fumbles, Zach Pascal, we're not going to talk about this one much, but yeah, the Bills and the Colts, Zach Pascal, he's gets the ball, and it's clear he fumbles, and the Bills have a clear recovery. It's just so, I don't know what the refs were thinking. They were like, yeah, no, not a fumble. Colts get one more chance to win. Jordan Poyer, I believe it was, knocked it down. But the big storyline is, right before the end of the second half, Colts could have gone for a field goal. But instead, on 4th and goal from the 1, they went for the touchdown. Michael Pittman dropped it. Which really would have been a tie game. And then also earlier in the game, rookie kicker Rodrigo Blankenship doinked, I believe. I think he doinked it. A manageable field goal, that had they kicked the field goal before the end of the first half, and then he had made that one, Colts win and are playing the Chiefs. But unfortunately, that's not how it went for the Colts, as the Bills squeak out with a win, 27-24. Alright. That's all we're going to really talk about that game. Now, on to the top performers. I'll do offense. You guys can do defense. So yeah, quarterback. As much as I wanted to give this to Taylor Heineke, it's the fact that they lost, and I think Lamar Jackson deserved it. He didn't have the greatest passing stats by any means, only 179 yards, no touchdowns, but an interception. But on the ground, 16 for 136 and a touchdown. And those are running back numbers. Those are not quarterback numbers at all. That is just, they should honestly just convert him to running back and then draft a quarterback, and then yeah. So anyway. But yeah, honorable mention, of course, Taylor Heineke from the Washington football team. Man, this man was doing it all for Washington. He gave them a chance versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, one of the hottest teams in the NFL. Unfortunately, just the playmakers on offense for that team were not enough to beat Tampa Bay. He took a crucial sack on that last drive. It was 4th and 23. He just heaved it up to Logan Thomas in double coverage. Got swatted down. But anyway, yeah, Taylor Heineke, 306 yards, touchdown, interception, a sick rushing touchdown. He dove for the pylon, he got it. It was insane. People going nuts. And so anyway, that's going to do it for quarterback. On to running backs. Cam Akers and Leonard Fournette, believe it or not, actually is on this list. Cam Akers was the obvious running back one this week. 131 yards, a touchdown, and then in the ground, through the air, didn't do much. But they still got the win. And then at running back number 2, Leonard Fournette. This was a toss-up between Fournette and Kamara, but I decided to give it to Fournette, who 19 for 93 and a touchdown, then 4 for 39
What
on
about
the
Nick Chubb?
Nick Chubb. He only had
He had
like
145 total yards. He had
yeah, that is true.
yards and 4 receptions for 69 and a touchdown. Come on, man. I need my respect.
Yeah, cause like to be honest, I kind of like, cause I looked at Baker's stats and I was like, oh, he didn't throw for a whole lot of yards, and I just assumed like it was, cause like Jarvis Landry and Austin Hooper combined for like half of them combined. So anyway, yeah, give it to Nick Chubb. The Browns deserve it. So yeah. Then wide receiver 1, I mean, it's Juju Smith-Schuster. I mean, as much as I want to, like, not give it to him because, the whole dancing on logos thing, but he had a good game, 13 for 157 and a touchdown. Then wide receiver 2, Stephon Diggs, doing what he's been doing all year, being the main guy for Josh Allen, and I'm excited to see. As a Dolphins fan, I'm not excited, but as an NFL fan, I'm excited to see what they can do. And with a full offseason of work together. Anyway, back to the stats for this game. 6 receptions for 128 yards and a touchdown. Then tight end, we're going to give it to the Colts tight end Jack Doyle. 7 catches, 70 yards, and a touchdown. I could have given it to Austin Hooper, but I decided to give it to Jack Doyle just because even though Hooper had like 1 or 2 more catches, Doyle had like 30 or so more yards, so I decided to give it to him. Anyway, Kareem and Dean, who are the defensive top performers?
All right. So for the defense, we had Aaron Donald, obviously. I don't want to say it, but the best defensive lineman in the NFL, because he is. But Myles Garrett will be better. But right now, it's Aaron Donald, who had 3 tackles and 2 sacks. Obviously, Rams breakout defensive lineman. Linebacker Harold Landry for the outside linebacker for the Titans. He had 8 tackles, 2 sacks, and I'll just say I'll go off course here. In the first couple of designed runs that Lamar had, the Titans were actually containing him quite well. But I mean, after this, Lamar kind of did what Lamar does, and obviously, I guess safety. Jordan Poyer for the Bills, game-winning bat down. And, I mean, I was wondering if they were going to try to do a Miami Miracle kind of play.
Yeah, because like Phillip Rivers doesn't have the arm strength.
I didn't think he could have thrown that far, and he didn't. It did not.
It went to like the 3-yard line, so even if he did catch it, it just would have been a swarm of defenders right there.
Yeah, I was thinking.
Yeah, but Jordan Poyer made up for the Hail Mary, and so yeah. He did.
There's a lot of guys on the Hail Mary.
Yeah, there were like 10 guys right there.
Yeah, bro. Come on now.
So, yeah, they should have let Rodrigo kick the 65-yarder. Come on now, Indianapolis, what you doing? For the memes. For the memes, though. But anyway, yeah, I'm just gonna sit back, enjoy Kareem and Dean's breakdown. The Browns Chiefs, which is not the marquee matchup of the week, unfortunately. That's gonna be Ravens Bills. But anyway, I thought as long as the Browns are in the playoffs, I will let you guys give your thoughts on their game. Browns at Chiefs, take it away.
Okay, so Sunday, 3:05 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Cleveland Browns head to Arrowhead Stadium to face Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. And I mean, if you're a Browns fan, all confidence is not lost. You've got the best running back duo in the league, without a doubt. I don't think anyone else comes even close. So, I mean, and Baker Mayfield, I mean, he's been playing quite well. So I think, obviously, you got to get at least a couple first downs on every drive. You got to, because, you've got to keep Patrick Mahomes off the field, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, and you know that. You've got to just chew the heck out of the clock. Just get points up. You want touchdowns because you know Patrick Mahomes has the ability to just take your. I mean, his playoff record is 4-1. I mean, he hit the formula for them is go down and come back because that. 24-7, and they won. So, I mean, if you're the Browns, you're obviously just giving the ball to Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. I know everyone wants to say it's a revenge game, but it's not like the Chiefs really had a choice when they released him. I'm sure if it didn't happen, they would have kept him because he was a great, great young talent.
Yeah, he led
But,
the league in rushing yards.
I mean, it's not really a revenge game in my opinion. But I think if the Browns are able to contain Mahomes, because I mean, you saw what happened to Pittsburgh. I mean, they were the only team that was worse down the stretch than the Chiefs going into the playoffs, in my opinion, just because of that terrible Falcons game they played. I mean, they stuck around with a lot of not so good teams. So, I mean, if the Browns have a chance. I mean, the spread right now for them is +10, and the line is even. It's not moving at all, which is kind of weird. It doesn't really make much sense. But I'm I'm not gonna. I'm gonna do what I did last week because it worked. Worked. I really hope there's the rest and rust factor for Patrick Mahomes because I'm a Browns fan, obviously. So what I'm saying is Browns are gonna win, but I'm gonna say the Chiefs are gonna win just because that's what I did last week. So I don't wanna. I kind of wanna use reverse psychology on it. So I'm taking the Chiefs, but you guys really know what I mean. Um, so I feel like it's pretty obvious who I'm gonna pick. I'm gonna. I gotta. I mean, I said I was. I picked the Steelers last week, but I wasn't really putting in the fact that they did play down to their opponents a lot. They did get cocky, but this time
Yeah, Steelers
I
are known
picked
for
the
that.
Chiefs. It's the defending Super Bowl champions, best team in the league. Best quarterback in the league. Some people are already putting him with Patrick Mahomes. Some people are putting him in the best quarterback of all time category. And he's been in the league 3-4 years. So they have Tyreek Hill, who I really, if Denzel will come back this week, they did activate him. They have to match him up with Tyreek Hill because Denzel Ward obviously is the fastest cornerback on the Browns. No one else is faster. I mean, I think it's pretty obvious. You've been looking at their cornerback core. They get burned a lot down the field, but that's been without Denzel Ward. So now that they have Denzel Ward back, I feel like it's going to be a bit easier uh, for the cornerbacks. But they have Clyde Edwards-Helaire is questionable. Sammy Watkins has been ruled out for this game, and he was the one talking all that trash before, saying the Browns don't show it, don't give them any competition. So if the Browns play with the same heart they did last game and have the same motivation, I think they will win the game. But if I'm gonna be real here, and if I wasn't a Browns fan, I was gonna pick the Chiefs. So I'm gonna pick the Chiefs in this one. I can't be biased here. Andrew, I'm gonna send it back to you.
Alright, yes. Yeah, as much as I want to pick the Browns to win, I just don't think I can. You just don't bet against Mahomes and that team. However, I do think it'll be high scoring. I do think it's not going to be close to 47-38, but I think it could be, in the range of like 35-31 or something like that. Because both these teams have, right around slightly above average defenses in my opinion. But anyway, yeah, I'm gonna go with the Chiefs in that game. But anyway, like I said, that's not the marquee matchup of the week. That is going to be Bills and Ravens, and obviously the storylines coming into this game. Bills and Josh Allen got their first playoff win in 25 years. That's a long time without a playoff win. So anyway, and Lamar gets his first ever playoff win versus the Titans. They shut down Derrick Henry. He had like less than 50 yards. I think he's only had 2 games this year with less than 100 yards. Anyway, yeah. Let's head into the keys to the game. And for the Bills, they played a super close game against the Colts last week. They didn't look super comfortable on offense, but they need to get back on track on what they were doing. Expose the linebackers with Cole Beasley in the crossing routes, and like the deep crossing routes like posts and all that. They need to work the middle of the field with Cole Beasley, Gabriel Davis, Dawson Knox, and all those guys. And with Zach Moss out for the rest of the season, they're going to have to rely on Devin Singletary, and then even like next week if they promote Devonta Freeman off of their practice squad. They're going to have to rely on those guys to get good yards on the ground. Obviously, they have not been a running team this year. They were the second most pass-happy team behind the Chiefs. That makes sense when you have Patrick Mahomes. But anyway, yeah, that's going to be keys to the game on the Bills. And now for the Ravens, they stopped the best pure runner in the NFL last week. But the keys to the game is gonna have to be limit the big plays down the field to Stephon Diggs, allow the little underneath stuff to Gabriel Davis and Cole Beasley, which is what the Bills need to do. They need to let it's almost like the Ravens want to let that kind of stuff happen, because Ravens can score in an instant if they wanted to. Meanwhile, the Bills are gonna have to work the middle of the field. They're gonna have to look for other guys other than Stephon Diggs to make those plays that they're gonna need to on third down and medium. They're gonna have to look for Cole Beasley and Gabriel Davis and Dawson Knox over the middle. Now for the secret weapons to the game, Bills, I'm gonna go with Devin Singletary. Now, obviously, like I said earlier, Zach Moss is going to be out for the rest of the year, and yeah, Devin Singletary is going to have a good game for these Buffalo Bills. And obviously, it's not like the Steelers where they don't run the ball and they don't even get their running backs involved in the passing game. The Bills are going to have to either run the ball a lot and get solid yards from Singletary, or get him involved in the passing game with screens, like little dump-offs, like I said, across the middle and all that. And now for the Ravens, another running back, Gus Edwards, he's a big, strong, physical, fast running back. And with Dobbins emerging as the number one running back in Baltimore, Edwards can sometimes get forgotten and has put in solid work, and especially if Mark Ingram is inactive like he was last week. I think Gus Edwards could have a big game. And so, yeah, I'm going to go with the Bills in this one, which leads us to our game picks. We obviously know you guys are picking the Chiefs, but you want the Browns, but we all know what that really means. You want the Browns to win, obviously. I'm gonna go with the Chiefs. I don't want to bet against Patrick Mahomes, and as much as I want the Browns to win, I think their Cinderella story comes to an end here. I hate to say it, but I'll be rooting for you guys when I'm watching that game tomorrow. So anyway, that leads us to the other AFC game that we just talked about, Bills and Ravens. I'm going to go with the Bills. I don't think they're going to have another average performance like they did last week against the Colts on offense. I think if they do what I said, like they do the little short crossing routes, I think they'll be able to, control the clock and really put the Ravens season to an end. So yeah, I'm going to go with the Bills on that one, and then the game happening in right around 45 minutes, I believe, is when that game. So it's Rams at Packers. I'm going to go with the Packers. Even though that Rams defense is so good, I just don't see anyone being able to stop Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams, somehow not a Pro Bowler, Robert Tonyan, and Aaron Jones. So yeah, I'm going to go with the Packers on that one. They're as lethal as anyone in the NFL. And then for the Buccaneers at Saints, the whole narrative is you can't beat Tom Brady 3 times in a season. Yeah, no, that's going to happen for the first time in his career. Saints are going to win this one, especially, I believe this game is a night game, is the Sunday night game. We all know how the Bucs have struggled in prime times versus good teams. They showed it versus the Rams, versus the Saints. They got blown out at home versus the Saints. So I just think, I just don't see the Buccaneers winning this game. Even though you're like, you never bet against playoff Tom Brady. Well, I'm going to, because it's Drew Brees, the greatest quarterback of all time. Yeah, I said it. So anyway, those are my game picks. So based off these game picks, I have the Packers and the Saints, and the Bills and the Chiefs, just like I said last week, based off the predictions for this week. So anyway, I'm going to give this to Cream and Dean for their game picks.
Alright, I'll start with the AFC, the game that starts in not so long of time. Bills versus Ravens. I am also going to take the Bills in this game, for the reason being, I think Josh Allen's just gonna rip up the Ravens defense, and I think Stephon Diggs is going to have a big game as well. I think he's going to get at least 10 catches, 100 yards, a touchdown. So I'm taking the Bills in this one. I do think Lamar. I mean, I don't bet against Lamar. I think Lamar is a great player. He's
He's
definitely
overrated, in
one
my
of the best
opinion.
quarterbacks in the league. But I'm taking Bills in this one just to keep it nice and short. We're moving to the next AFC game, but I don't really talk about that because you already know who I'm picking because I've already mentioned it. But just a little rundown. I think Browns are going to win because Baker Mayfield, Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, Myles Garrett. That's it. And because I've already said what I say. Okay, NFC divisional round. Packers and Rams. I am gonna take, just like many people, the Packers. Even though a lot of people are gonna say the Rams are gonna win because of past history with Aaron Rodgers in those kind of games, but I'm gonna take the Packers. Obviously, as Andrew mentioned, Robert Tonyan. He literally the Packers. George Kittle. He likes to block and he likes to run over people and he likes to stiff arm. So I mean, he's up and coming. I think he's gonna be a real good tight end for them in the future. And Devontae Adams, I really need him to get 10 catches and 100 yards because he's part of my pick'em. So I'm gonna say he does get it. So and I don't think Jared Goff is good enough to beat the Packers defense.
No.
And finally, Brady Breeze V3 for this season. And yeah, I'm gonna take Drew Brees because Drew Brees, I don't think he's not. I don't think he wants to go out losing to Tom Brady. I know it's like, yeah, I lost to the GOAT, even though I don't believe he's the GOAT. But man, a lot of people are gonna say, like, oh, he lost to the GOAT, and that's his way. I think he wants to beat the GOAT. I think he wants. Obviously, you always want to win, but you want to beat a guy like Brady to put a punctuation on your career. So I think Drew Brees is not. I just don't think he's gonna let him lose his game. He's not gonna let him. I'm not saying he's gonna throw him to win. I'm saying he's gonna play winning football for New Orleans, and that defense I anticipate is gonna help him out. So I'm gonna send this over to Dean for his picks. All right, so I'm gonna start it off with the Rams versus Packers. Um, you know what? The Rams did play a very good game against the Seahawks in the wild card round, but I don't see them beating the Green Bay Packers with a front runner for MVP, Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams, and Aaron Jones. Both are gonna have a really good game in my opinion, and Aaron Donald definitely will probably wreak some havoc against that offensive line, but I don't really see the Rams beating the Packers, especially with Jared Goff not 100% and John Wolford out with a really bad injury last game. Very scary injury. So I got to go with the Packers in that one. And next one, Browns Chiefs. Obviously, I'm just going to go with the Chiefs. I already said my whole spiel before. So next, I'm going to go with the Buccaneers and Saints. I'm going to go with the Saints, just like you guys did. I don't see Tom Brady winning this game. Uh, the statistics do say it's hard to beat a team 3 times when you've already beaten him twice. So I'm still gonna have to go with the Saints though because I really don't believe in that much because a better team will beat a worse team in my opinion. So Drew Brees, Alvin Kamara, the Michael Thomas coming back for that last game played really well last game. So I think he's gonna have another good game this time, and Tom Brady. The rest of those guys, Mike Evans, Antonio Brown, their defense with Levante David, um, I just don't think it'll be enough to beat the Saints. And so this game, our marquee matchup, the Bills versus the Ravens. I'm going to have to go with the Ravens in this game, and the reason being, I know your faces are going to be, you guys are thinking I'm crazy, but the Ravens played, beat pretty single-handedly. I know the score doesn't do it justice, but towards the end of the game, I think we all knew the Ravens were going to come out with that one. They beat a Titans team that's much better than the Colts, and the Bills really, I know, barely just came out with that. And they almost let the Colts have that one if the Colts clock manage better and if they kick that field goal like Andrew was mentioning. So I'm gonna have to go with the Ravens. I just believe John Harbaugh, Hall of Fame coach. I think that's pretty evident. I think he'll coach his way towards Lamar running the ball. They're gonna do what they did last year. That was pretty evident in the end of the season. I feel they were doing a lot of run plays with him.
Mm-hmm.
So if the Ravens do what they've been doing lately, I think they'll pretty single-handedly win this game.
And I would just like to point out that my Super Bowl prediction in the NFL special can still happen. I said Ravens Saints, and that's a big possibility. Do you guys remember what you guys said? Because like at the end of the season after the Super Bowl, we will go back and like see what all we said. But just by off the top of your head, do you remember who you picked?
I have zero idea, but I know who you picked, and that was the Saints to win it.
I said Saints over Ravens.
And you said Emmanuel Sanders getting that MVP, bro.
Yeah. Yeah.
You still riding that train?
Yeah, definitely.
You know,
100%. 100%. It's gonna be Emmanuel Sanders. It's just a fact.
Yeah, he got that catch for that big money.
Yeah.
Like $500,000.
Yeah, he needed 8 receptions for $500K, and he got his 8 reception. He got his 8th reception. It was like yes.
So happy, and I was happy for him.
Yeah, cause like that's a guy who's like he's never been a top 10 wide receiver, but he's always had solid seasons. You're just happy for him to succeed. But anyway, we're getting off topic. The last thing that I want to talk about are the Deshaun Watson trade rumors. Now, the big one, alright, and the last thing that that we are going to talk about is the Deshaun Watson trade rumors. Now, obviously, Deshaun Watson was not happy with the Texans' decision to hire a GM without like making sure he was okay with it. Now, as much as that makes sense, is it's not like he's a coach or anything like that. But at the same time, as the quarterback, you want to have a GM that's gonna, make your team better and all that. But anyway, the main trade rumor for about a week was Deshaun Watson to the Miami Dolphins, which I'll get into why that's good and bad. But anyway, the trade that was proposed by people online would be Tua Tagovailoa and the 3rd overall pick for Deshaun Watson. Now, I think a better trade would because I really want Devonta Smith, and I swear if the Jets take him, I'm going to be very mad. Anyway, so yeah, but I think a better trade would be to the 18th pick that we have, and then our first from next year or whatever. Maybe a second from also that year. I don't know what we would do, but I just don't want to trade away that third overall pick because I want Devonta Smith, and I'll be very sad if the Jets take him, like I said. But anyway. And then people were like, oh yeah, this should definitely happen because there was a report by the Miami Herald, by the Miami's inside reporter or whatever for that newspaper. Anonymous team members, I believe it was around 3, said that they didn't have trust in Tua. Like they didn't think that he was gonna be the guy, and that they were disheartened when they learned that Ryan Fitzpatrick couldn't play in the season finale, season finale, which, I mean, yeah, you lost a soul to your team, of course, because, Ryan Fitzpatrick won, the team leader award for whatever it was, whatever the Dolphins call it. He won that award, and when you lose your team captain, of course you're going to be sad, but, they weren't sad because they lost him, they were sad because he wouldn't be able to play in case Tua, did bad, which he did. But anyway, yeah, the 3 anonymous teammates were like, yeah, no, I don't think he's the guy. We need to move on. Fitzpatrick should have started in the entire season, which I agree with. I think Fitzpatrick should have started the entire season, or at least until that mini hot streak that we were on died out. Which it obviously eventually would have, but still, yeah, I think that, I kind of agree with the fact that Tua should not have started at least that early on in the season. But still, you don't want to say that kind of thing. I would not be surprised if Flores found out who it was, and then they were traded or cut. unless it was like some star guy like Devontae Parker, something like that. But if it was like a third string defensive tackle, just cut him. Like, you don't want that kind of toxicity on your team. However, here's the thing: this might not be true. This was allegedly said. So maybe this guy just wanted to spice up a news report because his papers weren't like doing well. I don't know how you can track that with newspaper, but whatever. And he just wanted to have a spicy news story, so he decided to make these false rumors that within the Miami locker room that it was like, oh, Tua's not the guy. But anyway, I personally think that Tua obviously made some rookie mistakes this year. He took way too many sacks. He held onto the ball way too long, and to be honest, that Week 17 Sunday NFL countdown I think it was Rex Ryan. He said it perfectly. Like he's not tall enough to see over the lineman to see a wide open running back in the flats for an easy first down or whatever. But anyway, yeah, that's that. Some anonymous teammates said that he wasn't the guy or whatever, and but however, Brian Flores, who I think is a great coach. I really like his style of play. I like how he's defense first, offense second. I just really like him as a coach, and so anyway, he said that Tua was the guy, which has been his thing all season. Once Tua got the starting job, he was like, Fitzpatrick. He didn't say that Fitzpatrick wasn't the guy or anything like. He was saying Tua was the guy, and it's not. And there's a difference between saying Tua's the guy and Fitzpatrick you benched, because when you say Fitzpatrick you benched, that means like, yeah, Fitzpatrick is not going to be the starter or whatever. That there's a difference between. And it's hard to explain in words, but I'm going to try my best here. It's not that you don't like Fitzpatrick or you don't want him starting. It's you think you have seen enough from Tua that you are comfortable with him starting, and that you have that security blanket. That was probably a little bit, and I should have taken more time to think about what I wanted to say there. But if you understand it, you get it, and if not, it's a pretty easy concept to understand. But anyway. Like I was saying, Flores has said, Tua's the guy. We're not sticking away from that. And Flores is also very vocal in the front office. Like, he's not just the coach. He's like a front office guy as well. He's always talking with Chris Greer, the GM, and all the front office guys, talking about all the moves and all that. But anyway, now I'm going to get how I feel about Deshaun Watson to the Dolphins. And I'm so conflicted because as much as I want to trust Tua with a new offensive coordinator, because I honestly think Shan Gately was the problem, as much as I want to trust Tua, how do you pass up on Deshaun Watson? Deshaun Watson, top 5 quarterback, without a question. Yeah, if you say he's not, you're wrong. So anyway, but then at the same time, it's like, how do you pass up on Devonta Smith when you have a chance to get him? However, if the Jets take Devonta Smith at 2, which I don't think they should definitely take Penei Sewell, the offensive lineman from Oregon, just because they have good the wide receiver group on that team is the best part of their team. They got Crowder, Mims, those are 2 decent wide receivers. But anyway, back to what I was saying. If the Jets do take Devonta Smith, then that Deshaun Watson trade would be justified, because you're like, all right, we're not going to get Devonta Smith. We might as well do it then. But at the same time, you're like, I want to trust Tua. It's just so many things. You're like, well, you do this and you get that. It's just, it's complicated. But then, I don't know, man. There's this one side of me that was like, Deshaun Watson brings that firepower to the offense that we just don't have right now and that we need. But at the one side, it's like, Tua can be a great quarterback. He just needs a new offensive coordinator. And to be honest, I think he would benefit so much if Ryan Fitzpatrick was the quarterback coach. Whereas he didn't have to worry about, if he was playing bad, he would be benched. I think that's, I think that would help Tua. I think if Fitzpatrick became the quarterback coach, whether that means he retires this year or he becomes a player coach even. I don't even know if that's allowed in the NFL, but if it was, then I think he should do that, because like I said, that constant thought in the back of Tua's mind is like, if I don't play well, I'm gonna get benched for Ryan Fitzpatrick, and I don't want to do that. But yeah, I think Tua would benefit from Fitzpatrick being the quarterback coach and a new offensive coordinator, which like I said, I thought Shane Gailey was the problem last year with our offense, but dang, I really just don't know how I feel about the Deshaun Watson trade rumors. Now, they have died down in the past couple of days, as they were really prevalent Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Died down the past couple of days. So, Kareem, what are your thoughts on these moves, on these trade rumors?
Well, so obviously the Texans owner, I think his name is Cal McNair, if I'm correct. So he did say that he wants Deshaun to be part of the Oh, really? Hold on. So he did say that he wants Deshaun to be a part of the coach hiring process.
And he just wasn't.
Oh, hold on a second. My bad. So, I don't know if that's really just because he knows Deshaun is mad or some other reason. So, I believe him. I think that if a guy wants out, you should ship him, and you just got to respect what he wants. But if the Texans do move on with him, I know they don't want to, but if Deshaun says, like, move me now, I think possible trade spots, the Patriots, the
Bears.
Dolphins, the Bears, some other teams like that, because Trubisky, for the Bears, I'm sure they made the playoffs, but it's not like Trubisky was the guy that took them there, even though he did have a pretty good final couple weeks of the season. So, I don't necessarily know how I feel about these trade rumors. Obviously, Deshaun Watson is one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Yet, Josh Allen and Aaron Rodgers weren't people. And then Deshaun Watson would probably be front runner for MVP if his team did better. So, I'm going to say that the Texans should move on from Deshaun Watson, not because they want to get rid of him, because I wouldn't get rid of him if I were
Yeah,
them, but
he's a once in
you should
a
respect him if he
generation
really
talent.
does want out. So I'm gonna pass this on to Dean to see what he thinks. So this one, obviously, I've said I thought I felt very mixed feelings about this specific trade between the Dolphins and the Texans, just because I really do think Tua can be something special in the future. I was hoping that it would have been a situation like what happened in Alabama, where he took over Jalen Hurts. He took over the quarterback position from Jalen Hurts and absolutely went crazy and blah, 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 blah. He did amazing. I was really hoping that's what happened in Miami, because I really do like Tua Tagovailoa as a player. So, but like Andrew said, how can you pass up on a player like Deshaun Watson, a guy who, like Kareem said, if Aaron Rodgers and Josh Allen didn't exist, probably would have been a MVP front runner if his team did better. But really, I believe that you either take him now and you just get rid of you do this trade, or you give Tua one more year and see what happens, and then maybe you can trade him for someone else if he
Yeah,
doesn't do
if
as well.
another quarterback is like, I want out of this team.
Yeah, then maybe that could happen, because that does tend to happen. Players don't like what's happening where they are. So I really do believe Tua really can be something special one day. I've said it from day one. I know Andrew didn't like the situation that he was put in. He wanted something to happen like with Alex Smith and Patrick Mahomes. It was going to be something like Ryan Fitzpatrick and Tua Tagovailoa. But I really do believe if Tua Tagovailoa didn't take over at quarterback, they wouldn't have had the season they did, because they were at 500 when he came in.
Yeah,
But
but
they
we
definitely
started
played
one
well
and
and played
three,
bad.
and then we started to pick up steam because, like, in the first 4 weeks, we played the Pats, who at the time were like good before Cam got COVID, the Seahawks,
Yeah,
the Jags, and then there was another tough opponent, and the Bills. The first
yeah,
four
the
weeks
Bills.
were the Pats, the Jags, the Bills, and then the Seahawks. Back when Russ was cooking. So I mean,
Yeah.
how do you expect to win? How do you not expect to only win one of those games?
Well, I do. I definitely get what you're saying. The teams that you played at the beginning. but it wasn't like it was just the beginning of the season that was hard for them. They did have a really tough schedule, in my opinion. They played teams like the Chiefs and the Seahawks that, like you mentioned.
Exactly. But here's the
So
thing: we had a chance. Tua gave us a
against
chance
the
versus the
Chiefs,
Chiefs. It was Jason
yeah, I
Sanders' fault that
agree.
we lost. Change my
Yeah.
mind. I blame Jason Sanders for missing the playoffs. Change my mind. I bet you can't. Even the
Okay.
first team All Pro kicker was the reason we missed the playoffs. Change my mind. Can't.
Uh huh. Yeah. So, going back on to that's just what I believe. I really think a quarterback of his caliber, really who can run, and that's really what the uh, quarterback position has changed into today. If you don't know how to run, you can't play in this league. So, I really believe that Tua really can be something special one day, and we'll be talking about him as one of the top quarterbacks in the league in the future. So, really, I don't really know what to pick. I feel like you're really taking a risk both ways because you're going to get a quarterback that was playing with the whole entire team, coaching staff, and quarterback that didn't have that now hopefully if you trade Deshaun Watson doesn't have a wide receiver that's on drugs and doing everything. So um, you know,
Yeah,
yeah, like I said,
it's just so conflicting on what you want to think about it.
yeah, like you can say that his wide receiver was crazy good with Will Fuller, and there's not really a Will. Oh, I mean Devontae Parker, I guess, but
But
I'm
he's
not.
not fast. Now
He's not fast like Will Fuller.
if we were to keep Tua and then draft Devonta Smith with that third overall pick, assuming the Jets don't take him, please don't take him, New York. I will forever hate you if you do. Then we will have our own Will Fuller. You
Yeah.
know.
And obviously Devontae Smith coming off a Heisman win. I
Yeah, as
do
a wide
think the
receiver.
year is very only the fourth wide receiver to ever do it. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I believe so as well.
To win the Heisman. So, I do believe there is a high chance that the Jets take him, but if they don't, that's why I'm saying this is such a gamble to keep. You'll end up getting Devontae Smith hopefully, but also there's that whole thing with Tua and Devontae, how Tua doesn't really throw to Devontae that
Yeah,
much,
but here's the thing:
and
a lot of people forget how like Preston Williams, he got hurt in the Arizona game, and
mhm,
he was the main target for Tua.
yeah, yeah, I do.
But like, just imagine that wide
Remember
receiver
that.
though. The speed on the wide receiver core. Albert Wilson, assuming he comes back because he opted out this year.
Yeah,
Jakeem Grant, and then Devonta Smith, and then
yeah, Devontae
Devontae
Smith,
Parker is like the big guy.
the big guy. Well, yeah. I really don't know what to say about this one. There's like literally almost unlimited possibilities for each trade and what could happen.
Yeah,
So I really don't know what to pick. If I were the Dolphins, I would keep Tua.
yeah.
Even though it is Deshaun Watson, who could have won MVP this year. But I would keep Tua, and I'm going to send this one back to Andrew.
Alright, yeah, now that we've all given our very extensive thoughts on these trade rumors, things that are no longer rumors, these coaching positions that have been filled, the Jets have a new coach, the Falcons have a new coach, and the Steelers have a new offensive coordinator because he was fired because he doesn't know that running the ball can actually help you win games. So anyway, the Steelers' new offensive coordinator was, I believe, it was their quarterback coach, Matt Canada, will be their offensive coordinator. I mean, it's an offensive coordinator. It's not. It is important, but not as important as a head coach. I mean, your quarterback coach, and when you're throwing the ball 68 times, just keep in your mind that running the ball is also smart as well. That's the big thing for the Steelers, because you have a guy that made the Pro Bowl last 2018 in your backfield with James Conner, so I don't know why they don't run the ball more. But anyway, back on the head coaching jobs, the Jets, the Falcons, and is that it? Oh, and the Jags. Jags. Yeah, so Jags, this was the first move. They land Urban Meyer, former Ohio State head coach. And I think he just fits with their new culture change that they're going for. He's Urban Meyer and Trevor Lawrence. it's gonna be an unstoppable duo, coach and quarterback. But yeah, the Jags get a new coach. He was a good coach at Ohio State. He was fired for something he said or something like that. I'm not so sure. It was a while back that it happened. But anyway, Urban Meyer will be back coaching. Now let's see if he can stop the trend of successful college coaches not succeeding in the NFL. Let's see if he can stop that. You know, Cliff Kingsbury, he's been okay with the Cardinals. But yeah, I think it's a solid hiring by the Jags. He was an amazing coach with Ohio State. Now you can just bring that to the next level with the Jacksonville Jaguars and Trevor Lawrence most likely. So yeah, I'm super excited to see how that works out. The next one, Robert Saleh, I believe is how you say it, is the Jets' new head coach. Obviously, they fired Adam Gase. Yes, the offensive guru himself, Adam Gase, has been fired from the New York Jets, and they bring in a defensive mastermind, and he just is another one of these guys that's like defense first head coach. You've seen it with the Lions tried to do it with Matt Patricia. That failed. Dolphins did it with Brian Flores, and now the Jets are continuing that trend, bringing in Robert Saleh, the 49ers defensive coordinator. Obviously, their defense was amazing last year, the 49ers. It just was a problem this year because everyone got hurt. But anyway, I think another good hiring by the Jets. Obviously, they're one of the worst teams in the NFL, but I think their defense has some solid pieces. You sometimes forget that they also have C.J. Mosley, who just opted out of this season. He'll be back most likely next year because, hopefully COVID will be under control and all that with the vaccine and all that. But anyway, people sometimes forget that the Jets' defense at times was good. They were not good in most games, but some games they were good. I'm not going to say good. I'm going to say decent. And now they bring in a defensive first head coach, which I like. It continues the trend. And, yeah. Another guy who's, just always been, right there who could get a head coaching job, just never did. And now he finally gets his shot with the Jets. Another team that needed a new coach, and I'm very surprised that they didn't bring back Raheem Morris. The Falcons get the Titans offensive coordinator. I forgot his name, but I think it's Arthur Smith. Obviously breaking that trend of defense first head coaches, obviously as a defensive coordinator. He brought Ryan Tannehill, Derrick Henry, AJ Brown, and all those guys in, and the Titans offense has flourished over the past 2 years, season and a half. So I think this is another good hire by the Falcons. However, I really do like Raheem Morris. I thought the Falcons obviously played a whole lot better with him than they did with Dan Quinn. But I'm very surprised he didn't come back as a Falcons coach. I'd like to see him get a head coaching job, maybe with the Chargers or someone like that. But yeah, I like that hiring by the Falcons. But however, they might lose Julio Jones in the offseason, which will be a big blow to their offense. But yeah, that's gonna do it for head coaching jobs. Now for coordinator positions, we already talked about Matt Canada for the Steelers. The defensive coordinator for the Dallas Cowboys is now Dan Quinn. Yes, and the master of the chokes, Dan Quinn himself. However, people may forget he was the mastermind behind the Legion of Boom. And yeah, so my brother was up. Something came up, and he came up here, and he, as you all know, he's a huge Cowboys fan from that from one of the first episodes that we did, and I was like, Dan Quinn is the lead, is in the lead for the Cowboys defensive coordinator, and he was super happy. He was like, yes, this is good. I like Dan Quinn, and yeah. And I think it could be a decent signing if the defense doesn't choke like the Falcons did so many times. And I think it's definitely a good signing. Like I said, brought together the Legion of Boom, Cam Chancellor, Bobby Wagner, Earl Thomas, Richard Sherman, Byron Maxwell. All those guys were under the coordination of Dan Quinn. So yeah, I think it could be a decent hiring. And now on to the last coordinator position. The Dolphins offensive coordinator has not been filled yet, but there have been 2 or 3 guys that could be in the lead for that. Chargers offensive coordinator / quarterback coach. I forget these names. I looked at the article like on Monday. Chargers quarterback offensive coordinator guy. He could be a very good signing. I mean, the Chargers offense was very good this year. They drafted Justin Herbert. Austin Eckler, Keenan Allen, Austin Hooper. So I really like that one. And then also the Clemson offensive coordinator, which could be another good signing. Obviously, Trevor Lawrence, one of the best quarterback prospects since Andrew Luck, and he's developed him since he was a true freshman. He's under the coaching of Dabo Sweeney, who's a really good coach in college. So either of those guys, I would not mind having as our offensive coordinator. It's more of a pass-first offense, which, as much as I don't want to become, if we don't get a running back in this draft, I'm afraid that's what it's going to be this year. So yeah, I think either of those ones could be a good hiring. So, yeah, we are unfortunately running very long. This episode is going to be very long. So, that's going to do it. We talked about a whole lot of stuff today. Bunch of MLB news, the James Harden trade, a bunch of NFL news. So yeah, if you stuck around to the end of the episode, I just want to thank you all. And yeah, divisional playoff round starts in around 2 minutes now. It is now 4:28. And so yeah, you probably won't be seeing this until probably Sunday. But anyway, have a good weekend, and we will see you next week. Editor Andrew here, and I just decided to say 2 things. One, sorry if you heard a bunch of squeaking. This table that I'm using right now, it's very squeaky, so I'm very sorry if you heard that throughout the videos, because I actually decided to make this 2 episodes just because it was way too long. Yeah, it was close to 1 hour and 45 minutes. Now we have an hour episode, like a normal episode, and then a 35-minute MLB special. So yeah, that's why I have 2. That's why we're gonna have 2 videos. So I just decided to throw that in there in case you were confused.